Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to a new game of StarCraft II Heart of the Swarm. Today we're gonna take a look at a Zerg versus Protoss of a game that I have played a couple of days ago. I think it's like 2 or 3 days ago. And this game was indeed played on the live stream. Now, today I wasn't actually completely sure what kind of a video you guys wanted me to create. So I decided to actually post it on Twitter and on Facebook, do a little bit of a straw poll and see exactly what people would want me to make. And turns out around 55% of the people voted for Zerg versus Protoss. And more specifically, a couple of people have asked me and messaged me on an aggressive ZVP. So today is exactly that we are doing. In this game, I am going to play pretty aggressive, at least for my usual play. It is pretty aggressive. But if you want to be voting next time as well, because I will be doing this more often, if you want to be voting for what matchup or what video you want me to create next, make sure to check the links to my Twitter and my Facebook in the description below. So this is going to be a ZVP. Let me open up the production tab, and as you might have already guessed and already noticed, we are watching this game completely through my vision, except for the fact that we obviously have the production tab open so we can sort of see exactly what my opponent was up to, but while playing this game I obviously was not aware of anything that my opponent is doing. So ZVP, ZVP in general is honestly probably one of my stronger matchups lately. I feel really solid in the matchup, simply because of the fact that I don't really have much trouble holding off 2 base all-ins. I've been messing around with a whole lot more queen play actually as well. And it turns out that queens with Spinecrawler and Rogeling are actually really good at holding off any kind of 2 base aggression, especially like Immortal Sentry all-ins and whatnot. Queens transfusing spines, they are very solid. And although we're not gonna see that in this game, I do feel really good right now in my ZVP, and hopefully I will be able to show you that in this game as well. So you can see me opening right there with a spawning pool into a hatchery. Kind of the standard for me. Every now and then I do decide to go for a hatchery first. Most of the time I will get punished and get a counter rush on my natural and just sort of lose. It just sort of happens. Sometimes I really need to stop playing hatchery first. It never seemed to work. Anyway, I'm gonna start a queen, I'm gonna start a set of Zerglings, and I'm scouting around, and it turns out my opponent is in the bottom corner of the map, meaning that my overlords need to turn around a little bit, and I need to actually replace my third base. I'm gonna always expand away from my opponent. You never wanna expand towards a Protoss. Let's say on this map, for example, if I take my third right here, it is obviously going to be close to his natural, whereas expand all the way up here is going to be much harder for him to reach. So you always want to make sure that you expand away from my opponent, and you can see me right there readjusting my hotkeys to make sure that my third base is gonna go at the top corner of the map. So there we go. I've gotten a pretty early gas geyser simply because of the fact that I want to get some early Zergling speed out. I am gonna pull my drones off gas if I'm not mistaken after hitting 100. So I know for a fact that I will be able to get some early Zergling speed out, and any kind of potential aggression that my Protoss opponent might try and deal to me will be a lot easier to hold off. So there we go. Oh, actually no, that's my opponent hitting 100. Yeah. So here we go. My second queen is spawning. I'm going to be, I wonder if I actually go for a third queen. It is usually pretty good to go for a third queen as well. But I think I'm gonna try and get the expansion done first. Now I see something moving there. It is indeed a probe. So I'm gonna attack move my Zerglings through that corner of the map. So I make sure to hopefully catch that probe. Usually it is pretty annoying, but here we go. I do start my metabolic boost upgrade. Boost or actually, how many did I pull off gas right there? Yeah, I pulled 2 drones off gas, so I know for a fact I will get a little bit of gas income just in case I need to create roaches or something. But I do get a little bit of gas income, but for the most part, I will be able to just simply continue my macro right now. So I did send a drone to my opponent's to my own third base. I am going to check for my opponent's third base very shortly as well. See if my opponent has been incredibly greedy. But as you can see on the production tab, my opponent went for some sort of 4-gate. Right now there's 3 gateways finishing up, which is always a bit annoying. But I did manage to catch the probe, which is always, it's always a good thing, because he's gonna have to send out another one, and he's gonna have to get a proxy pylon up again in order to do any kind of aggression. So right now I'm still just making drones. I'm about to hit max saturation. I've actually just hit it, and I'm gonna probably very shortly add some more drones back to my gas geyser because I need to get them. I'm gonna start another gas geyser right there, and I notice, okay, my opponent is warping it at home. There's a robotics facility or another gateway out. I actually don't know if I clicked on it right there, but I'm gonna get my roach warren out. My link speed is about to finish up, and I will start a big round of links very shortly because I need to get some defense. So most of the time what happens in ZVP is that you expand away from your opponent. Once link speed finishes up, you will start a whole lot of Zerglings, and you just try and snipe whatever you can. My opponent could be 4-gating right now, I'm not completely sure of it, but I do know for a fact that my third base is about to finish up, and that my opponent doesn't have a third base yet. So I'm just gonna pretend it's a normal game. My drones are actually here a little bit early, so I'm just gonna, you know, let them hug that hatchery for a little bit. But I do know that I do have a bigger economy than my opponent, which is nice. I'm also going to be getting some more spore crawlers out right now, just in case it is either DTs or it is Stargate. I don't really know exactly what my opponent is up to. Haven't seen too much of him yet. But for now, I am just gonna run my Zerglings across the map, check whether or not my opponent has a third base, and I'm just going to start my normal roach upgrades. Now, I am gonna play Mutalisk in this game. I'm gonna play Mutaling, which is a bit awkward, because obviously right now I haven't even gotten close to that yet, but that is because you can never really go right away into Mutalisk. Going for Mutas right away is pretty much always a bad idea, simply because, you know, you will lose to any kind of 2-base all-in that your opponent can throw at you. So, whenever you do decide to play Mutas, it always is gonna be after making sure that your opponent is not going for a 2-base all-in. And right now, if we take a look at his potential third bases, we know he's not taking this one, we know he's not taking the other third base either, so I am putting him on some sort of 2-base all-in. Now it is going to be pretty late, and I'm a bit confused, and sometimes my opponent does decide to go for a really late third base, or a third base after getting Colossus out. Now keep in mind, my opponent is a pretty damn good player as well, so he should know exactly what he's doing, and as we can see in the production tab, there are more gateways going down, but I will be able to scout that he did indeed go for a pretty late third base. Now there's a lot of sentries here. He will be able to force build this off if he does it properly, and I am forced to run away. However, a whole lot of roaches are moving across the map as well, and I'm just trying to get done what I hopefully still see as a kill on the third base. So here we go. Gonna try and see if I can get us around with all of these sentries. These sentries are very, very vulnerable right now. I don't think he has his mothership core anywhere close, meaning that I will be able to get us around right now on all of these units, and I will be able to clean them up for the most part. The Immortal went down, most of these sentries are going down, and most and foremost, I should be able to also get a kill right now on my opponent's third base. So they managed to kill a lot of stuff, and it was simply just for the fact that my opponent went for a pretty weird build order. He did not have his mothership core right there, so he could not teleport home, and I will be able to go for a bit of aggression right now. I am getting a bit greedy. I should back off. The mothership core is out right now, but I guess he just sort of didn't have it with the army. But, you know, I need to be pretty careful. Most of the time, between 11 to 11.5 minutes is when we see the first Colossus come out, so we need to make sure that that does not happen, and we don't get trapped behind force builds and whatnot. So I'm gonna get more gas geysers right now, gonna start a macro hatchery, gonna start a Hydralisk den as well as a infestation pit. I want to transition into a hive, but you know, considering my opponent does not have a really big army, and considering my opponent is probably gonna follow this up with a 2-base all-in, I have a couple of options. First off, what I could do is obviously continue this aggression and hope that I will be able to clean it up. Now, most of the time, that doesn't really happen, so I am gonna, you know, keep on droning, make sure that I get a big economy going. The other option would be for me to go for a quick hive, go for a Roach Hydra Viper play, so I can hopefully abduct any kind of Colossus, or if he doesn't go for Colossus, I can hopefully actually do some aggression, you know, with some other units, such as maybe do the blinding cloud on these stalkers and whatnot. But we can see what is gonna happen. Now, most of the time, what happens when a Protoss is in this sort of situation, he's gonna try and go for a 2-base all-in, or go for exactly what we're seeing on the production tab right now. It is going to be a Dark Shrine. Now, I did notice right there, my opponent has a ton of units, and I need to be pretty careful because, you know, even though I might not be able to clean up the game right here, once my opponent maxes it out, it is still very, very hard to deal with him. So, I am sort of trading right now. I don't really want my roaches to be out for too much longer, but I don't think I will be able to clean it up right there, simply because of the fact he does have a photon overcharge available very shortly at the very least, and Immortals still do a ton of damage. So, even though I lost a ton of supply right there, I am able to transition into another unit right now. So right now I am starting to make more and more Hydras. I'm starting to make more and more Zerglings as well, simply because of the fact that I am aware that that is probably going to be able to kill him. If he was gonna go Colossus, they would have popped out between, you know, 11 to 11.5 minutes, and we didn't see that. Right now it's 30 minutes into the game. It looks like my opponent is adding on more Immortals, which would mean that Ling Hydra is going to be the way to go. Now I did spot that Warp Prism moving out, so I know for a fact that my opponent is indeed having this Warp Prism out on the map. He's trying to get it done, but here I see that there are a couple of Dark Templars. I need to be very careful that I don't just get rushed by these DTs. I do have the Spore Crawlers from earlier still in my mineral line. I still have the other mineral lines also covered by Spore Crawlers, so I know that I will be able to detect this unit. I am going to be starting up my Hive, and I'm also going to go for my Spire very shortly. So notice that I, you know, at no point in this game did I rush for a Spire, right? I don't even really need to play Spire units. However, if I want to, I can. But you never really want to be rushing a Spire in ZVP because of the fact that your opponent can just sort of overrun you with any kind of 2-base all-in. And if I'm too greedy right now, I could still lose. So here we go. I have my 5th base about to finish up. Looks like my opponent rather is gonna go once more into a 3rd base. I am moving across the map and I'm trying to get this army done. And hopefully I will be able to clean up this DT right here. It's getting a ton of kills. How many workers is he killing right there? That's already 11, 12. In total 7 workers rather went down. That's still quite a lot though, but we need to try and get a cancel on this 3rd base. Now there we go. My Spire is going down 15 minutes into the game. I'm gonna try and run my Zerglings into his natural, whereas my main army is gonna try and snipe his 3rd. As you can see, I'm playing much more aggressive than I usually would, but that is because I am now decided to go for a Muta switch. So right now I'm starting more and more units. I'm trying to clean up whatever I can, trying to get rid of my Roaches and my Hydras pretty much, because I know for a fact those will not withstand a big Protoss army. And even though I managed to clean up most of the forces, I know that there are once again a couple of Immortals out most likely, and there are also going to be a couple of Colossus out. So I need to be careful that the Immortals still are. He will be able to Photon Overcharge right there. That's not going to do a whole lot. It's going to die pretty much instantly. But the Colossus is pretty scary. The Zerglings will be able to clean up his 3rd. And I know that for a fact I will most likely be able to clean up his army. My reinforcements are coming in as well. And my Spire is about to finish up. But this is pretty risky by me. He is microing properly and he killed a ton of Zerglings. If you take a look at the unit's loss step, as you can see, the resources are so even. He actually is a little bit ahead because I lost more resources. So that is right there the cost efficiency of Protoss. Even though he did not have a big economy, his units just sort of don't die. So I am going to switch into a ton of Mutas right now. 9 on the production tab. I'm gonna also make more and more Zerglings. Gotta make sure that I keep on going with these as well. Because, you know, I don't want to just simply attack in one position. Because whenever you play Mutas, you need to make sure that you engage him in different positions. You need to make sure that when your Mutas are going for his natural and his main base, your Zerglings and your Hydras or Roaches or whatever you have are going for the 3rd base, or at least to another location. So right now, I am moving my Hydras, or my Zerglings rather, towards his 3rd base. As you can see on the minimap, my Mutas are flying towards his natural. I'm gonna try and pull him thin in 2 locations, simply because I know that I just cleaned up most of his army, and I am aware that my opponent does not have a big army, so he needs to make a choice in what he wants to defend. Now, my opponent has a lot of stuff out. A couple of Colossus, but Colossus, last time I checked, cannot shoot up, and I'm gonna go for the counterattack. So right now, my Mutas are in his natural. I'm trying to snipe down this probe line, whereas my Zerglings are running towards his 3rd base. My Zerglings are there right now. They're gonna target fire whatever they can, and he will either be forced to go straight for my natural, or he will be forced to actually go back home. Now, another Colossus, not so lucky. And he will be sniped up pretty much instantly. And it does look like my opponent has decided to go for the turnaround, and he wants to try and defend what he can get done. Now, I'm going to snipe that 3rd base, get out of there again with my Zerglings while my Mutas are in the main base, and he just got picked apart and decided to GG out. So I want to thank you guys all for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, and I will see you in the next Zerg vs Protoss or game analysis video. Bye! Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to a new StarCraft II Heart of the Swarm video. Today we're gonna be focused